debates or at a slightly younger level of debating, strategy is the key. Countless times at multiple different competitions, including the World Debating University Championship, which is WUDC, World Schools Debating Championship, Canadian British Parliamentary, even in the final rounds or the highest level possible, strategy is the key to winning. If we learn strategy, we will win the debate, regardless of how our style or content is. That is not to say that we will not teach you what content is or style is. We will obviously focus on that, but we will tell you how to win debates purely based on strategy. What are we going to do for this, right? And what do we want to focus on when we talk about style, content, and strategy? In our curriculum, which is from level 1 till level 7, and then WSDC level 1 and level 2, we're going to focus on style. First, obviously, we're going to explain what good style is. We're going to give you good speeches of good speakers, pause those videos in between, focus on specific elements of style. The second thing is that we will do stylistic drills, which are important, right? So you will deliver a speech, we will give you stylistic feedback. In addition to that, we will record your speeches and you will do the same. And we will redo the speeches again and again until we get to a point where style is becoming good. The third thing would be that we will learn phrasing and we will also learn structure, because remember this, style is all about structure. If you manage your anxiety well when you're speaking, your style is going to be exceptionally good or it's going to be great. So if you structure your speeches in the right way, you will learn what style is. So we will focus on how to make your paper in the right way so you can easily focus on style. When we talk about content, obviously we're going to have seminars on specific debate topics, which range from economics to social issues to particular motions. But for that, we have designed a specific motion analysis class as well, where we try to focus on motions, specific debate motions, and content for debates. Remember, obviously, reading more, having more information is important, but how you use that content in debates is what strategy is. So we have motion specific strategy for different kinds of motions, which include regret motions, which includes believes that motions, so different kinds of motions. That is exactly what strategy and content and a mixture of these things is. We want to discuss different debates. We want to watch different debates. We want to see you guys in action and give you strategic feedback in terms of what you needed to do as a speaker at that particular time to win the debate. That's how you become better. It is not generally that you can be a good stylistic speaker or a good content speaker or a good strategy. It is about whatever your speaker position is, what are the 2, 3 things that you needed to do to win the debate? That is exactly what strategy is. And that is heavily something that we will be focusing on this year. The last thing that I do want to discuss briefly is what kind of tournaments and what is the expectation that we have, right? So we have divided our curriculum into 2 groups. Sometimes they will intertwine and sometimes they might be slightly different. We start off with British Parliamentary Level 1, which is Canadian British Parliamentary, 5 minutes of speaking time. This goes all the level up to level 7, right? So that's the main thing. And our level 7 is something that we introduced this year, which is the championship class. There are some qualification criteria that you have to meet to become a part of this championship class. But this is where we teach you highly, highly competitive debating, because this is going to be the highest form that is available right now at Linked. If you want to switch towards World Schools Debating Championship, your route is pretty simple. You can go to World Schools Debating Championship immediately after level 4 or level 5, and there are 2 categories in World Schools Debating Championship as well. What can we do with this? Number 1, we can go to Harvard WSTC. Number 2, we can try out for the Canadian World Schools Debating Championship national team, right? So we are going to do both, and we're going to make sure that you qualify, or at least, you're in a competitive place to compete at both. The second is the other route. So if you're from level 1 to level 4, you can compete in novice breaks for places like Waterloo, Queens, McMaster, Harthouse, McGill, all of these competitions, which Sophia is going to discuss about in terms of what competitions are there on what dates. But the second thing is that the same competitions, including Waterloo and McMaster and Harthouse and Queens, you can still compete on those competitions, not in the novice break, but a higher level debate in terms of the main break in level 7, right? That's what we want to focus on. So this is basically a category of how we have divided our debate program. Remember, the main thing at Linkkey that you guys are going to learn is going to be strategy, right? We will teach you content. We will give you the best kind of content, debate related content, but our focus is to tell you how to win debates. What are the content strategies that you have to focus on? And at different levels, at all levels, we will teach you good case prep effective strategies. At all levels, we will teach you good extension strategies to give extensions in closing halves if you're doing British parliamentary. But most importantly, at all levels, we will tell you exactly what you needed to do as a speaker on that position to win the debate. That is what we want to teach you. So that's what we are going to be introducing here. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me later on. But that's all from me today, just to give you a brief introduction about what we're going to do and why we are doing it.
Okay, thank you so much, Suresh.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, you enjoy your vacation in Mexico.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's in
Thank you,
Cancun,
guys.
Mexico.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
All right. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, so now let me quickly introduce our main speaker tonight, Elizabeth. She's currently attending Stanford University. She graduated from Branson Hall 2 years ago or 3 years. 3 years ago. Sorry. Maybe you introduce yourself more. So let's give a round of applause to Elizabeth. Thank you. Of your slides. Check. One sec. There you go.
Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth. I graduated from Branson Hall from the class of 2023, and I'm currently a rising junior attending Stanford University. Just to get a show of hands so I can kind of get the vibe of the general demographic, how many of you have either done debate or at least have had some interaction with debate class? Okay, so that seems to be most of you. That's useful to know just so I can understand if you have like enough background knowledge about debates. I assume it's British parliamentary or world school or something of that sort. But just to get some brief introductions out of the way. Yep, I'm a rising junior. I graduated from Branson Hall. If you're interested in my stats.
Can you stand closer to here? Because
yes.
we have online people, they can hear you better.
Okay, is this good?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Oh,
No, fine.
all right. Hopefully if the people online can't hear me at all, you can maybe leave a message in the chat and I'll try to talk louder or something.
Or maybe you want to sit here.
Or
They
we
can
should sit
see
down.
you.
Okay.
Whichever you feel more comfortable.
Okay. So yeah, here's a brief introduction, the schools I got into, the stats I had. It's mostly relevant for when I talk about the second half of the presentation, when I introduce my high school life, my university application journey, before I tie in how debate influenced me in my applications at the very end. So in terms of high school debates, I naturally was part of the Branson Hall debate and public speaking club. I was a co-head alongside two other lovely members of the community. And separately, I also led a project called Resolved, where this was a large debate project that sought to be an international competition where we tried to attract debaters from all places around the world and increase the accessibility of debates. And that was a new project that we launched alongside the UFT Monk Schools that I was the student lead of. Alongside that, I had a pretty good run in high school. I was the 2 times finalist of the Canadian BP National Tournament and the top speaker. And I won a couple international tournaments as well, like the World Schools Debate Open in the WSDC format. Now, in university, I continued my debate career, where I am a member of the Stanford Debate Society, and most recently, I was the chief of staff, where I did things like organize tournaments, did bookings, etc. And I semi-finaled Worlds this year, so the World University Debate Championships. I recently won the North American University Debate Championships alongside the US University Debate Championships this year as well, and plan to continue debating into the future. Oh, and alongside that, I've also continued being engaged in the high school debate community, often judging tournaments on occasion, and I've been helping out with volunteering to train and give workshops for the Canadian national team as well. Now, I'll begin by talking a little bit about the personal impact debate has had on me, and I suppose this helps since you have somewhat of a debate background. So the first kind of thing that maybe probably doesn't surprise you is debate has broadly expanded my knowledge base extremely dramatically. And this is perhaps somewhat obvious, where you might think, wow, like Elizabeth, like of course you learn things from debate. But I think specifically what is often interesting to me is debate has improved my knowledge base in things that aren't just politics or international relations or things you maybe traditionally associate with debates, but it's also things that are maybe more niche, like we often get debates about the healthcare system, or we get debates about culture or economics or sports or smaller, more niche things, which makes people extremely well-rounded. But more specifically, I think the way in which debate has taught me to gather information is not just, wow, you know more facts about the world, but it's being more critical in the types of facts or the ways in which you process information. So when you read a news headline, you don't just see like, wow, Trump shook hands with this person. This means some major life event is going to happen in the world, but you're able to critically process what types of news signify important things on an analytical level. So these are quote unquote structural reasons, and what types of things are like signaling around the world or less important events. Being able to critically understand what is or is not important information is a key aspect of the quality of knowledge you're accumulating. Now, here's where I want to spend a bit of time explaining where debate's been extremely valuable for me. And this is not just expanding the amount of things that I know, but rather expanding or strengthening the core skills needed to process information, i.e. the skills of critical analysis, the ability to form an argument. And this, I think, happened in 3 ways. The first way is the concept of building frameworks, where this is something that's been important in debates, that's transferred in all other aspects of my life. This in terms of doing job interviews, doing consulting interviews, doing like university interviews, et cetera, et cetera. And the concept of building frameworks is just when you receive a problem, whether it be a debate motion, resolution, or an interview question, how can I develop a strategy that encompasses all the different moving parts I need to answer in order to deal with this problem? So you can see how this might be relevant for something like a university admissions interview. But in the concept of debate, it's like taking a topic of debate or a motion, as you guys would know, and quickly deciphering what are the key stakeholders, should I care about the long term or the short term, and understanding the different aspects of analysis and processing that go into the problem solving aspect of dealing with a question. Now, the second critical thing that debate has done for me is to be able to quickly identify assumptions made in statements or arguments. Now, let's take an extremely rudimentary debate topic. So this is something you might hear given to, let's say, like middle schoolers or younger, which really goes to show how even though debate often deals with very complex topics like crazy financial debates or crazy debates about very complex philosophy, even a very simple motion or a very simple debate topic can come with baked-in assumptions that you need to quickly identify. So let's take, for example, the resolution or the motion that pertains to like banning the use of technology or iPads in primary schools or secondary schools. Now, let's just say we have this topic and you're given the position of defending this argument of needing to ban technology in, let's like say, like secondary schools. What is a very straightforward or obvious reason why we might need to do this? If anybody has thoughts. So if one argument that could be made that, oh yeah,
Basically the idea that like technology is really distracting students and that students are going to use it badly is the assumption that you make.
well, exactly. So one common argument is this is very bad because students will be distracted, blah, blah, blah. They'll doom scroll on their phones. They won't listen to the lecture. This is very bad. Now, even this type of argument, if you wanted to make it, would have many assumptions. So you would assume that students would be tempted to use it badly. You would be assuming that teachers wouldn't have the capacity to control how students are using their technology. You would be assuming that this is worse than any potential benefits you're getting from this technology. You're assuming, fourthly, that this is worse than the other things teachers would be doing, where if they're not using technology, what are they doing instead? And those other things would be better. And all of these things are steps or assumptions made in any argument, even for an argument as simple as, guys, technology is really distracting for students. And this has been a very helpful process where when you're faced with either like problems in the future, the ability to understand what are the underlying necessary steps that are baked into anything I'm being faced with has been very valuable for me. The final thing that's often very useful, which has just been generally good for my life, is the ability to compare reasons. Where one of the crucial things about debate is you're not trying to just talk past each other, where one side says blah, 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 thing good, the other side says blah, 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 thing bad. And these two things could simultaneously be true, but how do we know which one is more true? And what debate demands then is for you to be successful. You have to take competing reasons that are saying opposite things to prove a point, and explaining why certain reasons are better or more important than other reasons is a critical aspect of good debating that's trickled over to every other aspect in my life, whether it be, should I go to Stanford or should I go to Brown? Should I do economics or should I do poli-sci? Every life decision has been influenced by these skills to some extent. The next valuable thing has just been the people you meet through debating, where the community and connections have been extremely, I think, unique or valuable in a couple of ways. Where the first is it's hard to quantify, but debate draws very, very unique or particular people, where the types of people that self-select into debating as an activity tend to be people that have some degree of desire to either accumulate information or to weaponize knowledge or thinking in some way, which lends itself to very interesting people. So I've met people that like know every single possible argument about things to do in World War II or how the Cold War should have played out, or people that know every single argument about why God does or does not exist. All of these types of people tend to be extremely idiosyncratic and extremely valuable in terms of how they've influenced me and the things that I've known and the ideas I've interacted with.
Okay, can I do something on the Zoom?
Oh, yeah, of course.
There's some people waiting in the Zoom. Just give me 1 sec. It'll be real quick.
Oh, would you prefer if I like stood to a side and you could?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Just real quick.
Give Miss Penn the access. You know, she can.
Okay.
You can carry on.
Sorry, Henry.
Hold on, sorry. There's
Okay.
some,
Okay, I think it's good.
Yeah.
Is the audio okay? Okay,
你要把你那个关的，你的 speaker 关。
Go ahead.
no, I have to, the clicker has stopped working again, so I might just need the PowerPoints.
Things go wrong, it works.
Hmm.
校长，他不能翻篇儿了，你看，你不能翻页儿。
Use the mouse. You should use the mouse. You, that, that. Use the mouse. Or use this one, use the arrow here. Up and down, yeah. Forget
Alright,
about the
yes.
clipper.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. The second thing in terms of community that I'll talk about briefly before moving on to stuff about a high school is I think the structure of the tournament experience itself also lends itself to extremely tightly knit bonds, where of course there's you and your partner or you and your 4 partners in WSDC, where the fact that you have nobody else to rely on in an extremely intense preparation period of either 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 1 hour, depending on the format you do, means you often create extremely close relationships just by virtue of having this very intense shared experience. The final thing is, I guess you all are debating post the rise of online debating, which happened during, COVID-19, where during 2020, we had things like Discord debate tournaments or Zoom debate tournaments. And this has meant people can attend from all over the world, where I have like my best friend and my debate partner is from Israel. I've met many people from like Serbia and Bulgaria. And these are really fascinating people with extremely different cultural lived experiences that you otherwise kind of wouldn't get to experience within the GTA bubble. And the final thing, of course, is just confidence. The reason the slide is left blank is to kind of illustrate the point that when you do debate, even someone like me that was extremely introverted in the past, where I was very quiet, public speaking is not something that comes very naturally to me. The skill that is trained within you to speak off the cuff, to respond in impromptu ways or improv ways, means you can always have something to say and you're never caught off guard, even in situations that are unexpected, where you don't need to rely on guidelines or notes to be able to communicate yourself in effective ways. So now let's talk a little bit about high school before I explain how debate played into my Common App, if it did at all. Spoiler alert, it did in small ways. But more importantly, it helped me a lot in university in more implicit and subtle ways. So I didn't just debate in high school. The other main aspect of my Common App was a lot of writing. So I founded a literary magazine called The Origami Review, independently, not through Branksome Hall. I also was a very avid creative writer, so I wrote a lot of poetry and fiction, and I got accepted into writing programs like the Kenyan Young Writers Program and the Iowa Young Writers Studio. And I also just did many other things, such as founding a reading club within Branksome Hall, and I also was part of my school newspaper and did other writing things there. Now, in terms of how I navigated high school, particularly in grades 10 and 11, I'll talk about the general strategy in terms of approaching these years. Where in grade 10, I think it's often seen as a very stressful year, but grade 10 in particular should be more seen as a year to lay a very good foundation and to cast a very wide net. So what does this look like? In terms of academics, what's most important this year isn't going crazy and making sure you have absolute perfection, although if you can, of course, it's very good. But the utmost priority is to make sure you can identify your own personal weaknesses. So this can be weaknesses in terms of subjects. So if you're bad at French, or you're bad at chemistry, and you're in, for example, either the IB program or you plan to take an AP in either of these things in the future, you should identify that you're weak in these areas and maybe preemptively start learning how to reach out to support networks in these classes, studying a little bit more, etc. But it also looks like, for example, understanding your own habits and weaknesses. So maybe in 9th grade and in 10th grade, or even earlier, you could get away with cramming at the last minute, or you could just self-teach by looking at online YouTube videos. But you identify this doesn't work in some instances. You should be self-reflecting a lot and finding like methodological weaknesses or issues with your own approach to studying or school in general to identify for the future that's about to get probably much worse and much harder. The last thing to know is you should try to cast a very wide net in terms of extracurriculars. So if you're considering something, you should try it. You should experiment with different things, because this is the time that you're supposed to be trying to figure out what are things I could be interested in and what am I going to be good at. And you often don't get that sample size if you pre-commit to just a very small set of clubs or opportunities. Now, this is no longer true in 11th grade, whereas 10th grade is more about exploration and finding the foundation. Grade 11, I would say, is far more about consolidation. So by grade 11, you should, well, firstly, be focusing very, very heavily on academics if you have, like, for example, strong ambitions to go to a top school, which not everybody does, but if that is a dream you want, this is an extremely important thing to note. And this is because, especially for things like early decision, you often don't even have enough assignments in 12th grade to change your grade meaningfully at all. So most of your like Common App or university applications are borrowing from your 11th grade academic results. Now, in terms of extracurriculars, you should be cutting heavily and focusing on a select few to try and advance them as much as possible. So this begs the question, how do you choose which extracurriculars to keep to make time for things like grades and also, to sleep, have a social life, etc., and which things to basically focus less on? And obviously the first thing is enjoyment and personal aptitude. Like if you're good at something, you enjoy it, you should do that. But the second thing to consider is you should consider opportunities where you have the capacity to have upwards mobility. Essentially, are there clubs where there's several tiers of leadership? So can I be a member? Can I go from a member to a member of the executive team? Can I go from the executive team to like the founder or the club head? And these the room for scaling up or advancing upwards is something that's very valuable in a club, so you can have leadership opportunities to show in the future. The last thing to note is in terms of managing work and stress in this extremely rather difficult and quite intense time of people's lives, it's to be extremely selective with your time and to know when to make sacrifices. So what often happens is there's this vicious cycle that happens in school where you fall behind on some assignments, so you catch up, and this puts you behind on other assignments, and you have to catch up again, and the vicious cycle kind of continues. And you start pulling all-nighters, and you start being like kind of less quick and less ability to think think and respond very quickly. And this impedes your overall stress, health, ability to perform, whatever. So something oftentimes has to give, and you have to be good at identifying what should give. So you should be good at identifying which things have higher consequences for doing worse at, and which things are like basically more expendable. So for example, maybe that one meetup at some club isn't going to make or break your life, but maybe one assignment is worth 20% of your grade, one is worth 10%, so that's less, so that's more important to consider. You should also consider things that snowball. So for example, if there's certain classes where knowledge is more cumulative, like math, it's maybe more important to make less sacrifices there because they have more long-run consequences, versus maybe if it's like a subject like history, for example, this might not always be true, but it's more like knowing different independent things, and each thing isn't reliant on the previous thing. Maybe that's somewhere where if you have to, you can maybe make more sacrifices. So knowing where to make sacrifices when times are very hard and something has to give is a crucial skill. The last thing is to understand how to use your guidance counselor and your teachers effectively, where it often isn't effective to just go like, guys, please, I need an extension, like I'm crashing out, I don't know what to do. And that's not a very useful way to use your resources. But rather, the most useful way to use these often very like knowledgeable and very talented people is to come with like proactive questions, where you're not just going like, what do I do? I'm so lost. But to say, this is what I want to achieve. What steps can I take to get this outcome? And coming prepared with framed questions that are proactive is the best way to use these resources. Now let's talk about my basically university application journey and how did debate play a role? Now, the most trivially obvious place it played a role is it's what I wrote one of my Common Apps about. Well, sorry, one of my personal statements about. I say one of because I wrote two and used them in different schools, but basically my most used Common App essay was about debate. Now, what I will say is many people write their Common App essay about debate, and many people do it very poorly, where they often fall into the traps of having cliches or things that are very obvious. So things like, oh, debate helped me public speak. Debates made me learn things about the world. And these are true things that are very valuable. But as you probably can imagine, most people that sort of write about debates write about these things, which makes it harder to stand out. So what I will say is, while I wrote about debates, I think what made me stand out in the application system was I was able to process it in more critical and unique ways. So to avoid being too general, in particular, what I wrote my essay about was I actually was very critical of debate as an activity, where it claims to be an activity that often says, oh, it will make people more empathetic and know things about the world, but rather it trains people to see knowledge and real-world issues as a game and actually harms people's empathy in many ways and is often very inaccessible. So the fact that I took a more critical approach to debates and how it often is like a form of ingenuous or disingenuous advocacy, I think made me stand out. But this was probably not the most important thing to my application, where I basically did not write about debate in any other essay. For some schools I applied to, I didn't write a single essay about it at all. But rather, I think it influenced the way I could approach writing other essays and doing interviews. Where, for example, when like when my Tufts interviewer asked me like, how would you solve like mediate a conflict between you and another student in a group project? Like that's something I can apply frameworks to. I can break it down into several steps. Like who is like the person I'm working with? Like what are they like? What are we disagreeing over? And what is the content of the disagreement? Why are we disagreeing over these things? How much time do we have for this project or this thing we're working on? And the ability to approach solving interview questions in a clear way where I can roadmap or structure my thoughts was something I think helped me be more impressive from an admissions officer's perspective. This applies also to essays, where being able to approach the ability to construct ideas within essays that are often very, very short in strategic and efficient manners was something that was helpful. But I think the most important thing is the third thing here, which is the ability for me to demonstrate quote unquote intellectual vitality.
Now, what is intellectual vitality? Now, this is a term that I know at least specifically Harvard or at least Stanford uses as a category on the on their admission system, where on their rubric, this is a category that basically evaluates the curiosity of an applicant towards knowledge or scholarship in general. And this is perhaps the most important thing universities care about, even beyond things like leadership, beyond things like community service. And the trivial reason for this is universities often care about like their own rankings. They care about students that will get good grades, that will do research, that will boost them upwards in rankings and make them more successful in the future. So this is very important. Now, this begs the question, how do we demonstrate intellectual vitality? And here's where debate was really helpful, where debate allowed me to not just to show, not tell, to not just say, like, guys, trust me, I love learning, I love knowing things, but rather I could directly write the things that I know onto the page. And I'll give you two examples. So the first is in my Why Stanford essay. I wrote directly about why I cared about poli-sci, which is what I initially applied for, even though I'm not a poli-sci major. I thought it was going to be. But I wrote about international politics. And instead of being like, I'm just so interested in international politics, guys, like I just really like it. I just really care. I could just directly show and demonstrate my knowledge by writing about something I knew, which was I had done research often in debate context on Middle Eastern politics. So I wrote about the Arab Spring, which is when basically Middle Eastern countries experienced revolutions simultaneously at a period of time in history. And there was a lot of democratic revolts where democracy was established in many Middle Eastern countries. But then all of those countries failed, where democracy backslid and democracy was lost in all of these Middle Eastern countries, except for one country, which was Tunisia. And basically, I just directly described the process of the rise and fall of democracies in the Middle East and why Tunisia was the only one that was successful. And through this process, I could just show them directly that I know very nuanced and complex things about politics without having to just claim it. The second example would be for my Brown essay, where for one of the essays where I was describing something I was interested in, I wrote about the novel Crime and Punishment, which is a piece of Russian literature. And basically in Crime and Punishment, what happens is this. So the main character, his name is Raskolnikov. He's living in St. Petersburg, which is very poor. And he's like, wow, we're all so poor. But there's this one woman. She has so much money, and she's hoarding all of the money. So I'm gonna kill her and take her money and give everybody the money. And there's this philosophical exploration of when is it justified to harm others to establish greater utilitarian ends. And I basically talked through that philosophical debate or that philosophical dilemma in one of my essays. And through describing this exchange of ideas itself, I could demonstrate my knowledge and demonstrate my capacity for thinking in a way that reveals it as opposed to just telling them that I like thinking and I like philosophy. So these are things that were ways of thinking that debate trains in you that you can't just make up on the spot. You can't be like, aha, now I'm applying for a university. So now I will learn things and use them for my essays. That's kind of not how it works. You have to genuinely accumulate knowledge and thoughts over time, and that's how you can demonstrate them when the time comes. So do I have regrets about my approach to high school? And the answer is yes, I have many. And here are three main ones. The first main regret is, well, one piece of caution is burning out too early, where it's true that things like 9th grade and 10th grade are very important, but the bulk of the importance does come in the later years, in 10th, well, 11th and 12th grade, where the intensity will be at its highest. So I would often suffer very deeply from burnout or accumulated stress, making it very difficult to do things like pull an all-nighter when it's necessary, or, basically study and like keep it together when the stakes were the highest. And of course, I managed okay, but it was much harder than it needed to be if I wasn't like constantly like pulling all-nighters in 9th or 10th grade or overloading myself in ways that I didn't need to. So effort is very important, but you should be strategic with when you are putting in this effort and when you are doing something, consider is it worth it? And is it worth the opportunity cost of anything else I could be doing instead? This also ties into my second point, which is I took 2 APs, even though I was part of the Branksome Hall IB program, being AP Macroeconomics and AP Literature and Composition. And I did great in them. I got 5s in both, but like, was it important? Like, not really, because the IB itself already substitutes for APs. So if any of you are in an IB program at all, I would not do APs like at all. They were useful in some ways. So for example, I took AP macroecon in 10th grade, and this made my life in the IB much easier when I was doing higher level economics. And that was maybe good, but was it worth the fact that I had to stress and take AP exams at the same time as my school exams in grade 10? Like, maybe not. Was it better than anything else I could have done with my time? Like, maybe not either. And that's probably something I would caution people against. The third thing is also related to burnout, which is not resetting enough, where the vicious cycle I described earlier of things accumulating, you falling behind, so you scramble constantly to do more and more things, is often something I wish I had broken out of. So in periods of downtime, when there is sort of a lull in activities or a lull in school obligations, I would be like, wow, I worked so hard to finish all of these assignments and I pulled so many all-nighters, so I'm just gonna like doom scroll for a week and chill and go out with my friends. And basically, a lot of my high school life was very high highs of having fun intensely for a week at a time, but then a lot of assignments would come and then I would have to do them all at once. And that cycle was extremely unstable and unsustainable. And I wish I had taken those periods of rest and used it to be caught up and start the next like onslaught of assignments on even footing. So yeah, those are my thoughts on high school. Hope that was helpful to some of you here. I'm happy to take questions at the end.
All right, thank you.
I'm not sure about you guys. I feel I've learned a lot. Especially the essay part, the intellectual vitality part. I mean, the intellectual vitality is pretty important. It is admission criteria adopted by Stanford for sure, Harvard maybe as well. So let me get to something real quick.能看到是是我们的那个 OK 没关系，第几页我可以把它调过来。This mouse doesn't work. How do I do this? Where's the full screen? Clear motion now.
Oh. Sure.
你又看不到。现在呢？可以了。OK。你就这样吧，OK， 不用 full screen，我们就这样。How many of you do not understand Mandarin Chinese? Okay. One, two. Michael, come on. You speak Mandarin Chinese pretty well. You speak Mandarin Chinese really well. Anyway, okay, so we'll be speaking in English. I'm going to try to yeah, I have to sit. I have to sit here. Okay. You don't sit there. Yeah. Okay, guys. So we're going to start our debate program. Our new version of the debate program, the debate club, for the 2025-2026 season. Basically, you all know the debate club. We have two chapters, one in here, and then another one in Mississauga. We have three the debate club leaders today who are here with us. So you guys, well, okay, we can determine who will be doing what. But we talk about you guys would come in and help us with organize the debate club, or maybe do some judgings. And I'll tell you a bit about my own experience, why I got into debate, and this is a pretty related to how I started in Key. Back in 2015, like 10 years ago. I wasn't in education business at all. In 2015, I worked at a company called Deloitte. I'm not sure whether you guys know about the name. It's one of the top consulting firms. I was there working in their mobile payment, project. It was pretty early at the time, the mobile payment. And then I got invited to a debate tournament at Hart House 10 years ago, 2015. A good friend of mine invited me to a debate tournament, a Hart House debate tournament, to watch his daughter, the final debate at Hart House. And I was so impressed and obsessed by the way she presented herself, and by the knowledge she presented, right? And then that made me think, you know what? If a high school student, 15, 16 years old, at the time she was in her grade 11, I believe, she was attending Richmond Hill High School. And I realized if a student can do this, and they can pretty much do everything, right? They will be very successful in their high school, in their university, and maybe in their lives. And I was no wrong. This student went on, and she got admitted by Harvard. She graduated already. She's currently working at a big firm in the U.S. So with that, I came back. I started a very small debate program in Mississauga, and it was at the very beginning a handful of students in my program. I just wanna, create something to experiment this one, and it got bigger. It grew from 4 students to 8, 16, 20, 100. And then after a year, at the time I was still working at Deloitte. So after a year, I realized maybe it's something can be, I can take it very seriously. So I quit my job at Deloitte. I started in Key. So that was 2016, about 9 years ago. And here we are right now. So that's how we started. We basically started with a debate program. And obviously, if you know my my children, my son, he was a debater as well, right? I think um, he learned a lot from participating in debate. He was a good debater. I think so. She got admitted by Harvard as well partially because of the debate. Um, so I don't know how much debate played in his admission, but one of the reasons I think he got in was because of debate. So another thing I want to share with you. So a lot of people ask me why we should do debate, right? I think there are two things. Elizabeth, elaborate, quite nicely. I think there are two things. One, your communication, your speaking, your the way you present yourself, right? And it's important, right? We all need to communicate. We all need to talk to each other, right? No one live in a silo. We live in a society, and we need to communicate. We need to talk, right? So how do you make yourself heard? How do you make your voice heard effectively? That's one thing. Second thing is the knowledge base. In debate, we learn a lot. And she was talking about something, Arab Spring. That's a knowledge. That's a history, right? If you learn, if you read, then you know that piece of knowledge. Otherwise, you don't. So debate will give you that knowledge base. It will help you understand, how to analyze things, and it will help you try to find solutions, right? I think Elizabeth mentioned that she founded a non-for-profit called Resolve, right? That's a good name. I like that name a lot. So it basically helps you find solutions. So that's why I think everyone should learn a bit of debate. You don't have to be a competitor. You don't have to be go out every single time and try to win, but you should learn the communication, public speaking skills, and you also should learn the knowledge base part. Okay. This is we prepared this in Chinese. I'm pretty sure you guys don't read it, but basically I talked through this content. The knowledge base, you can tell, right? We talk about in debate, we talk about politics, economics, culture, education, history, whatever. A lot of pretty much everything we will discuss in our debate program. And for Linky Debate Club, Ms. Pan, you want to talk about this? The Linky Debate Club? Oh, you want to talk about this one? Sure. Okay. So 汤老师给我们讲一讲啊，来。
这是什么呢？这是什么呀？这怎么？
看那个，不要看那个，看那个，这是两个 screen， 所以你拿着鼠标要控制那个 screen。
OK。翻页怎么就拿这个 up and down? Okay, I take over and continue. So Henry just mentioned what debate can bring you. However, the regular debate class, which were offered a lot here in the key, it also has some disadvantages. For example, in the debate class, for example, if the class is 2 hours long, the coach probably will spend more than half of the time to teach the debate knowledge, the structures of the tournaments, and only have less than half of the class time to practice. So that means you don't have enough time to practice with your partner in the debating class. And also, each of you can only register one debate class each semester, right? So your classmate in that class probably only have 6 people, 8 people, or 12 people, 12 students, because LINQ normally have small size of the class. So that have a problem. You don't know enough debaters, right? You don't know where to find the good partner for your tournaments, because you don't have the chance and opportunity to know and see other debaters even on the same level. Okay, that's another disadvantage. So that means it's very difficult to find a satisfied partner for debate tournaments. And also, the time in the class is not long enough to mount a real tournament, because a real tournament for each round, you need at least like 40 minutes for the talking and some time for the judge's feedback, but you don't have that much time in the class. And the last, because of this, even you register for the tournaments, because you don't have enough practice time and you don't have a very matchable, available partner, it will affect you to get a good result in the tournaments. So how to solve this? And that's the reason why we have a debate club here. So before, our club was named Leading Tomorrow Debating Club. Leading Tomorrow was a nonprofit organization. However, last year when we run Oxford MUN Canada, so we have another nonprofit organization. The name is Link the Key Foundation. So this year we combine these 2 nonprofit organizations together, and right now our debating club is under Link the Key Foundation. So we set up this club in the summer of 2023, which is almost 3 years ago. So Debate Club is a nonprofit organization of Link the Key Foundation. And Link the Key is sponsored to provide some portal service. For example, everybody need to log in, register as a club member where Link the Key portal. And also Link the Key will give us the provided the classroom for the debate club to run their activities. And I am the supervisor to supervise the debate club, and our debate club itself also has his leadership structures, including co-presidents, co-vice presidents, executives, and the judges. So all of these leader positions can get volunteer hours, and they also have the opportunity to get the leadership awards every year. So the debate club is a membership club. All the students need to register as a club member via the Link the Key portal, and the manual fee is $200 per year. And the leaders and the judges, if you did a very good job yearly, you contribute a lot, you did a lot of judge for the members and show very good leadership, the judges and the leaders will have at maximum $100 discount. So that means for them, 2 years fee is $200. Each year is only $100. Okay. And the fee will be used to run the club. For example, we provide all the drinks, the snacks, and also we run some a club kind of small tournaments. We give the awards, and we also give the card for the good judges and the good leaders. So that's where we spend the fee to. And also we run it in person only, no online, once a week, and per week is 2 hours. Mississauga location is on Ridgeway between Mississauga and Oakville on each Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. And myself, Ms. Zhong and Henry will be the supervisor because sometimes if I'm not available, Ms. Zhong and Henry will replace me to do the supervisor. And the North York Club location is here. It's here, just this classroom. And the supervisor will be Angela and Jesse, the two supervisors. And what the debate club can bring to you, firstly, you have enough practice time here. The debate club is not a course, it is a club. So each week, we have at least one judge or two judges. They will match the partners for the students who register the activity, match the partners, and give them a motion on site, and exactly mark a real run of a tournament. Okay. Give a motion and give them like 15 minutes practice, preparation time, and then run the full run. After that, the judge will give their feedback one by one as a group. Okay. So here you can meet more debaters and the debaters with a higher skill set. And the debaters is not only from your school, it's not only from your debate class. They're coming from all the different schools in GTA area. So you have the chance to know more debaters here. And also here, you can change your partner every week to see which one match you the best, which one you like each other the best, right? So you have the chance to try different partner and to choose the best one. And later when you register for a real tournament, you two can be partners, right? And every week you can get the on-site judge's feedback. So in this way, that means you have a small tournament each week. So that means you definitely will improve faster. And also every week we mark a real run. So this also will give you the real feeling and the real practice, just like a mini tournament. And we also help our debaters to register for the tournaments. And this is also will help you to get more achievement from a tournament. If you representing the key to participate either online or in-person tournaments, I will be the supervisor to lead the team to all the tournaments. I will mention that more later. And also the leaders and the judges of the debate club, you can get the volunteer hours, the experience, and the leadership awards, okay? And this work can also improve the judge's ability to be a better debater. Last year, we have 2 locations, 6 judges. They are in grade 12. I asked them this question, why you would like to be a judge here, no matter how busy you are? And their answer to me, including they feel like after they do the judge in the debate club, they actually can understand a tournament better than only be a debater. So they know during the tournament, when they are a debater, they know more about how to get more points, how to get a better mark. Do you agree? It's the best? Right. So being a judge definitely can improve your debating skills. So our 6 grade 12, last year grade 12 judges in our debate club, 1 go to Brown University, 1 goes to Duke, 1 goes to University of Washington, and 1 goes to Columbia. Okay. And the other 2, they are younger. They're going to apply university this year. So let's wish they can go to the dream school they like. So that helped them a lot to be a better debater, to get more achievement from the tournament. So what kind of students can be a debate club member here? If you finish the linked key level 1 or level 2 courses, and you are going to start level 3, or you're already finished the level 3 and above courses, you can apply to be a debate club member. And if you are not a if you're not a linked key student, doesn't matter. If you have debate class somewhere else, but your level is equal or similar to linked key level 3, you also can register as a debate club member. Just in case, if someone register the debate club, but
你都8点半了，你还不 take a bath？
their real level is too low because
你不管我，你做你的。
你做到我的那边。But accidentally, if the kid doesn't have enough skill set to be a debate club member here, it doesn't matter. We can register the student to have the regular debate class first and then hold their debate club fee as a credit, so they can use the manual fee later. And how to register it? Go to linked key portal and find a key named LK Foundation Student Council. LT Foundation already have a student council, but all the leadership positions right now are empty. We also have a button to register as a volunteer there. So you can register the activities to be a volunteer. And during the volunteering in our activities, we are going to choose the good volunteers to be the leaders of the student council. Okay, so under the student council, you can find the debate club button. Click there and input all your information and self-identify your levels from level 3 to level 6. And if you are level 5 above, you can click a button to choose whether you want to be a judge there. You can be a member even you are a level 5 and 6 above. You can just practice here. But if you are level 5 and above, you can be both. For example, if they needed the judge, you can be a judge. If they don't need that many judge, you can be just a debater here to practice, okay? And then pay the fee. So the judges, I mentioned this already, depending on the judge's contribution, we will return maximum 100 credits to their account. So the supervisor, which is me, will balance the judge assignments during different locations. Sometimes Mississauga judge will support it here. Sometimes the judge here will support Mississauga, depending on the need. And the judges will assign the partners for every week's activity. Okay, and how to communicate within the debate club. Firstly, you register through the portal, and also all the parents can join the debate club WeChat group. If you want to join the parents WeChat group for the debate club students, as the debate club students' parents join the group, you can request to me. This is my WeChat ID. And all the important information and notice will be published in the parents WeChat group. And also all the students can join this debate club members Discord group. Here is the website. All the important notice will also be published in the student Discord group. Here is the tournaments. Linked Key is going to register in this semester for the whole school year. And some of them are university level, some of them are high school level, and most of them are in person, and some of them are online. And you will see from this month to January, we have this weekend will be back to school tournament organized by Queens. October 11 to 12 is Linda Key Swan Open Tournament, followed by Waterloo by the Girls Web High School, McGill, Ottawa, Harvard College, Team Canada, WSDC, Queens again, McGill again, Hart House. This is the U of T, okay? And followed by some online Western, Hart House again, Western, McMaster, Queens, Harvard College World School. This will go to Boston in Harvard University, Ottawa. Appleby has public speaking competition, Waterloo, and this is Regis High School in Oakville. So this is our plan to lead the key team register for the tournaments in this year. If you debate representing Linda Key will finish the registration, but you need to register on LK Linda Key portal first. And I'm the supervisor to register for you through the university website, and I will communicate with the tournament directors if something happens. And we are going to pay the registration fee, pay the missing judge fee, and we also provided the supervision and logistics on site. We also will provide the on-site coaching, including our coaching. For example, Shiraz, Matt, our debate coach, they always go to the tournaments with me together to be the on-site coaching. And for all the debate tournaments we organized as an institution, we always set up a WeChat group for all the debaters and their parents. So during the whole tournaments, I'm going to post all the information there. I post a lot of photos there, and I give all the news, share all the news there. And that means even the parents doesn't go to the tournament site, even they just stay at home, they know what happened right away. Okay, it's a real-time report. And also, after the tournaments, we are going to run a 1-hour online motion review. One of our coach is going to analyze some important motions from this tournament, or some motions the students want to discuss more. So one of our coach will run this online motion review after the tournaments. Normally is in 1 week after the tournament finish. So this is all the advantages if you register debate tournament wearing the key. Yeah, so that's all. So if you want to be a debate club member for this year, you can ask your parents to talk to me, or you can directly register on the LK portal. You also can talk to our customer service on each location, on each campus, and they will show you on the portal directly one by one to register to be a debate club member. Okay, so this semester we plan to start our debate club from the 3rd week of September, because we need time to promote this, to ask more students to join, and we also want to attract more good debaters to be a judge here. So we plan to run the debate club on the 3rd week of September. Okay. Any questions to me, to Elizabeth, to Henry?
There's a question for Elizabeth on the Zoom online. The question, I'm going to read the question. Maybe Elizabeth, you want to make a speak over there. The question is, okay, you know, you guys maybe are interested in this question as well. Okay, the question is,
I'll try to be louder. What were your spikes during your college application?
Could you repeat your question?
Oh yes, so in terms of what my spikes were for the college application, I had one main spike, which was sort of debate related, but generally being interested in politics and advocacy. And I had a secondary spike, which was my interest in writing. And I kind of took the two spikes and merged them together by explaining how I discovered that my interest in literature, media, and writing was an effective way at communicating real world issues in a nuanced way. So I took the two spikes and I explained how there's a relationship between them.
Okay. Any other question? 你可以用中文的也可以啊，英文呀。Nancy, go ahead.
Two questions. So my first question is, what was your academic achievements and your score to achieve your part in Stanford University?
So in terms of my IB score, I had a 44 IB score. I had a 1560 SAT score. I took two APs and got 5s in both, although those aren't necessary to take IB. And aside from that, I had some other academic awards. So I submitted to the John Locke essay competition and got an award there as well, amongst some other academic awards.
What you got from John Locke?
I think I got high commendations in philosophy.
So you said you took 2 extra courses in AP. So how did you manage your time to be able to take the 2 extra AP classes and your original class? Yeah.
So in terms of my two APs, the first was macroeconomics, which took a lot of time to self-teach essentially. And that basically just, well, part of the reason I wouldn't recommend doing IB and AP is just that it took up so much of my time that it just left me with very little time for everything else. So in terms of managing my time, I don't think I managed it very effectively because I just spent a lot of time on it and just tried to brute force my way into it. For my other AP, which is AP Literature, I just went into it sort of blind because it's just reading and writing, analyzing essays, which I naturally had a skill in.
Jennifer, I saw you had that.
And I'm wondering maybe what your school had to offer and what this course is.
Right, so amongst Branksome Hall's options, I went for higher level economics, history, and literature, and I went for standard level math A&A, chemistry, and French. Sorry, was there a question about, oh, wait, was the question also about how I picked the courses or just what the courses were?
Basically, that these courses seem to be.
Okay, so, well, for French specifically, that was ruled like, because in IB you have to take a language. I quickly ruled out French higher level because you basically have to be fluent to take higher level French. So that one was the easy one. Amongst the others, I knew I had like a primary passion in economics and literature, especially since I made literature my spike and I went on to major in economics. So those were things I was very interested in. For my last one of higher level history, I functionally thought it would be very good at being background context for many other things I was interested in. So for example, understanding history makes you much better at IR or analyzing politics because of the importance of the context. And because I had an interest in applying for poli-sci, I thought history would be the best substitute since we didn't have like a IB poli-sci or anything like that.
Okay, you can start.
我稍微介绍一下，那个30分都会排中间那个小女孩，她是从Prada 这个大的过，她是我们那，她会成为我们那边的一个主力的第2在今年。然后她在很多的这比赛里面都拿过很不错的奖。她开学的时候是10个。 然后那个也是感谢那个 Elizabeth 的妈妈，对吧？还带过来，妈妈，你不来今年上 orange 颜色的那个。所以你们家长要是有什么问题也可以问妈。您只有一个小孩吗？啊，太优秀了。线上没有我的问题。
如果没有线上没有问题，我们可以把线上先关掉，然后我们下面可以，这样的话我们就这个屏幕就会简单很多，因为我们现在有太多屏幕。
现在还有问题吗？
我们问一下看看线上有没有问题，好吧？我们线上有没有问题？There's some。有。
没有。
No. No, that was the last question. Okay, if there are no more questions from online, I'm going to close the Zoom. If you have more questions going forward, you can always contact us through phone calls, emails, or WeChat. Okay? So Zoom, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night. Thank you, Zoom.
December 的，你觉得你